Well guys, today is an exciting day because we're going to put some new shoes on the 3000 GT. Been a little crazy this year because I bought a Ford Edge with a blown motor and then doing a motor swap, but that's neither here nor there. Today we're talking 3000 GT, and let me show you what we got to put on this bad boy right here. So I got me a new fresh set of wheels and tires that will be replacing my 17-inch chrome. These are some vr4 TR4 18 by 18 and a half plus 35. Those are factory. So right now, car is sitting on lowering springs, vr4 lowering springs to be exact, because they don't make any specific for the SL. So we still have, let's see here, probably three fingers worth of height in there. Eventually I'm going to put some coilovers on this, but the main thing for today is we're going to talk brake calipers and brake rotors. This car has the Gen 1 vr4, came off of a I believe a 92. I had another video on doing that brake swap. It has been a nightmare to try and find a set of wheels and tires that fit this. So let me jack this up and pull this wheel and tire off, and then we're going to slip this guy on there, and you're going to see why that does not fit a Gen 1 vr4. And then we will put a Gen 2 set of calipers and rotors on it, and then magic will happen. I'll bring you right back. These are the valve stems I'm using. I bought these at O'Reilly's, part number 15-412. They fit the 0.453 rim hole, and they're 1 inch long. We'll stick them in there and see what they look like. So we're going to use a little bit of dish soap, valve stems, and then a little valve tool. Put a little soap on this guy right here. Slip it in the hole and then pull it through. After you slide the valve stem through with a little bit of soap on it, usually these just take just a little bit of a pull, and then as you can see, it pops right in. Alright, so here's the tires I've chose to go with. These are some Land Spiders 245/40/18. The car came factory with 245/45 17s. You know, this tire was running on the back. I had it on the front. It was starting to get a little slick from burning the front tires off of it. That supercharger. The back ones are still really good shape, but we're going to upgrade to these. I got these for, you know, it was around $330, something like that, off eBay. They're not a top-end tire. Again, with the amount of money I spent on the wheels, and then having to upgrade the brake system, which you'll see here in a minute, these will get me through for a little while, and then I can always upgrade later. But for getting ready to put the tire on the wheel, I don't have a way to balance these, but I've, you know, mounted many tires in my lifetime, mostly motorcycle tires, and I'm going to slip these tires on the wheel, and then we will put them on the car, and then I'll go get them balanced at some point. But I'm not going to drive the car until I get them balanced, even if I got to take them off and take them up there individually. But I wanted to I didn't want to be, I am impatient, and I wanted to see what they look like. So let's get this tire on this wheel and see what we got. So this is probably the most cringe-worthy part of the video. Manually mounting a tire with some tire spoons. The most important thing is, at this moment, is we want to line this yellow dot up, which is the lightest side of the tire, to the valve stem, which is the heavier side of the wheel, theoretically. We already got some soap on this. So the first thing I do, and like I said, I've done this or probably, I don't know, man, 20, 25 years, mountain motorcycle tires. And I got a static balancer for motorcycle tires and wheels, but not for a car. So a little bit of soap on here. You can pretty much just push that guy on there. We'll line up our yellow dot with our valve stem, and like I said, here's where it gets a little dicey. Main thing is make sure you have plenty of soap on there, and then you want to make sure that your bead is not seated right here. So, you know, doing this just manually by hand, you know, as I like to walk the tire on there, you have to be a little athletic, have a little coordination. Once we get it on there about halfway, these tire spoons have a little curve that just kind of hooks around the wheel. The most important thing is you want to lift up as you slide this in, and then apply light pressure. Take a small bite. You don't want to jump out here because it'll take too much pressure and you can dig this into your wheel. We don't want to do that. So we'll slide this in. Make sure it's in far enough you can feel the bend kind of hook onto the wheel. We'll just walk this guy around. If these were fresh painted wheels, I would not be doing this because these will scratch. Powder coated wheels, chrome wheels, those all tend to be just fine. Again, make sure this thing stays off the bead on the back side. If it gets up on that bead, it will not go on. Now we are getting down to the critical part here, and this thing starts to get tight. And again, this is not for the faint at heart. I would recommend most people probably not to do this. So we are just about to the part where this is going to get a little tight on us. So again, small bites. Make sure we're all the way in. Just keep walking it around. And these look like scratches. They're just soap on the wheel. And this last one here, this will probably be our last one. Just make sure we're all the way in there. Well, we probably got one more. Probably got one more in us. This one will probably grab it in here in the center. Again, lifting up on it as we're sliding it all the way in. And voila. Wipe all that soap off. And then we will put some air in. Alright, so here is the Gen 1 VR4 calipers and rotors. So I have another video on this when I actually put these on this car with the knuckles. The problem with these guys, you always hear about the caliper clearance. And the problem with the caliper clearance on these is not that they stick out too far this way. They stick out too far to the outside of the car. And they do so, they come out very far close to where the wheel mounts right here. So if you look down on that, you can see how far this thing sticks out and how close it is here. So I had purchased these TR4, these vr4 TR4 wheels that I was talking about earlier. These were claimed to be a unicorn wheel that can fit these, but they don't. And I'm going to show you why. Okay, so we're going to take this wheel, we're going to slide it right on here nice and gently so it won't scratch nothing. And soon as I slide it on them studs, I'm already touching the caliper. Let me pull this phone off here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you look down inside of here, I'm already touching the caliper. I have every bit of probably 3/4 of an inch inside of here before it even touches the rotor. My studs aren't even sticking all the way through the holes. And then if I come back here and look at how far these things stick out the side of the car, I mean, they're going to stick way out there. So the Gen 2 calipers, here, let me pull this wheel off, and I'll grab the Gen 2 calipers, and we'll take a quick look at those. So Gen 1 VR4 is on the top, Gen 2 VR4 is on the bottom. I had put stickers on this one. This right here is actually like raised up lettering on there. But one of the differences is if you look at the rotor size, which is Gen 1, Gen 2, so if you kind of center these up, you can see the difference in the size of the rotor. So the Gen 2 actually sits farther out from the center of the hub. So if you kind of loosely measure off the bottom of the brake pad, that's like 1 3/4 inches to the center of the hole. And then these guys up here are, they're like 1 1/4 inches to the center of the hole. So this caliper actually sits a 1/2 inch farther out from the center, which then allows more space inside the wheel. So the unfortunate thing is I got, I don't know, like $1,500 in wheels and tires. And then I had to bribe a buddy of mine to sell me a set of rotors and calipers off of a Gen 2 that cost me another, I don't know, $450. So I had to buy more parts just to fit a wheel on there. So we're going to put these rotors on here. We're going to keep the Gen 1 rock shield. We just had to tweak it back a little bit to fit it. But we're going to put the Gen 2 rotors, Gen 2 caliper, and then we're going to slide that wheel back on there, and you'll be able to see the difference. Alright guys, so here we are, Gen 2 caliper and a Gen 2 rotor. The wheel is just sitting on there, and as you can see, it is up against the rotor right there. I do have, I would guess, I don't know, about 5 millimeters of clearance right there on the caliper, but it is just barely touching right there. So a huge improvement. But what we're going to do is we're going to put us a hub-centric 5 millimeter spacer on there. We're going to slip this guy on there, and this one has a 73.1 OD, and then I think it's like a 68 or something. I don't remember off the top of my head. ID, which should slip right over the spindle itself. So let's slip this guy back on here, and then we'll take a look and see what we got. Alright, so here it is with the spacer on it. You can see the spacer is in there. I'm probably going to have to get one just a little bit thicker. There is probably 2 millimeter of clearance right there. A little bit too close for my comfort. So I'll probably see if maybe they have like a 7 or an 8. But let's take a look at how this thing sticks outside the car now. So I still have just a little bit of poke, but also too the car is jacked up. So let's get us a wheel that has a tire on it. We'll put some lug nuts on this thing. We'll set her down, and we'll see what she looks like. And that is what it looks like with a new wheel on the front. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my OEM wheels, but just something about that guy just makes it look a little bit more modern. So let's take a look and compare this side to the other side. So if you look here, I mean, I would call that fairly flush. I mean, we do have a little bit of stick out there, but I mean, if you look at the ground effect there, it's about even with it. If I come down here off the front end, just barely barely sticking out. The height between the tire and the fender wheel is still the same. Again, I'm going to put some coilovers on there and I'll eventually drop it. But here's one last look, how far that sticks out. And then we're going to jump right over to the other side. So here on the other side, you don't even see, except for down there at the bottom, you don't even see the tire. So that's the other front wheel. And the main reason I changed these even to begin with is we started getting some chrome peel. And nobody re-chromes wheels anymore, it seems. There's a place I know out in California, but they want like 300 bucks a piece. You know, at that price, you might as well just buy you another set of wheels. I'm going to put these up in the attic. 3 of them are still good. That one is getting bad. So I'll just put them in the attic and just keep them. So you can see there how that tire is tucked inside the car. Let's come back around this side one more time. You can see how it's, I would call that fairly flush to just barely sticking out. But again, a huge improvement. So now we're off to the back. The back ones should just be able to put a wheel on there. I did buy a 20 or a 25 millimeter spacer. We'll try it both ways and let's see what we got. So here is the end result of putting on the rear. I end up using a hub-centric ring on the back. I did not put the 25 millimeter spacer in there that I was telling you that I had purchased, because right now it's hard to see, at least me looking at this, it's hard to see because the sun is shining now. Let's move around this way. Maybe flush, maybe a touch of poke, maybe. It's hard to tell. When I lean down here off the side, you know, to get the camera awfully closer, I'd say that's probably fairly flush. Again, still need to put some lowering springs or coilovers on here. I have the Megan Racing springs here. Still got a little bit of wax right there. That were made for a vr4. vr4 is a little heavier in the rear end. So right now I'm 3 finger in the back. If I come up here, I am about 2. I'll also tell you these gloves are fairly thick. So anyways, let's walk around this side over here. Again, here's the factory side. I've rolled the car forward and back, bounced up and down on it to make sure the suspension was settled. Again, here you can see the rear and how it tucks inside, especially right there towards the rear end of the, where the bumper cover is. Let's come back around here. Again, that's the front. Just maybe slight poke, if any. And then when I get to the rear down here, so I can't get my phone as close to the car as I can on the other side because my camera lens is on the wrong side. But again, if I lean my head down here, I would say that I am pretty flush. I'm not going to put the spacers on the back, but I have them for when I do put my coilovers on and I lower this thing down a little bit more. I'll have to see where she sits. So here we are. Vors TR4 18.5 plus 35 on a 99 SL. And then we'll walk around here and we'll get one more last look of what the OEM wheels look like. Again, I like my OEM wheels. They just fit the car, but it was time for an upgrade. Time for an upgrade. Alright, hope everybody enjoyed this. I got another video I'm in the works right now with my supercharger pulley system. Maybe more to come on that. Hope everybody has a blessed day. We'll see you on the next one.